Hello students, myself Mohammad Rameez. Today we are going to learn the second part of the chapter number 16, that is economic liberalization and globalization. So students, in the last session we had discussed about the introduction of economic reforms and the concept of liberalization. Today we are going to start with the next part of this chapter, and the topic is privatization. As you can see in the slide, the meaning is given. Privatization means the process in which ownership and management of industrial units under state control. State control means the government owned industries is now going to hand it over and transfer to the private sector is called privatization. So privatization in simple words, it's transferring of ownership of public sector industries to private sector. I will repeat, the transferring of ownership of public sector industries. Public sector industries means the industries which are owned by government is now going to transfer its ownership to private sector. So after 1991, the government have opened up the areas of production for private sector and welcome the private sector to do more economic activity. Now we will see the methods of privatization. Firstly, those areas which are reserved for public sector are open for the private sector. So in the first method it is said that, as we have seen earlier in liberalization concept, that before 1991 many industries were in the hand of government only, and after the economic reforms the scenario changed. Now the government is giving permission to private sector to do business in that field also, which was before only reserved for government. Now the second method, state means the government. State keeps the ownership of state owned companies under the control and give the charge of management to the private sector. Or the second it is or state keeps the management in own hand and give the ownership to the private sector. So in this second method, two things are being explained. For understanding this point, you should know the difference between the ownership and management. Ownership is about when a person or group of individuals invest their money and start a firm. To them we can say as a owner. And management is about a person who is professional in skills to manage the business. So ownership is about when the person have invested the money and they are starting the business, they are called as a owner. And managers are the professional persons who manage the business, and in return the managers are getting the salary and incentives for their work, and owners get the profit. So now some of the industries are such where government is still owner, but the management of work is given by them to private sector. I will repeat once again. So now, after the economic reforms, the industries there are such industries which are still owned by government, but the management of work is given by them to private sector. I'll give you the examples of it. Antrix Corporation, Ashok Group, Bharat Petroleum, Western Coalfields. These are the industries which are still owned by government, but the management is given to the private sector. And there are some of the industries which are owned by private sector, but the management is given to the public sector. So here we complete the two methods of privatization. So now in this slide we are going to discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of privatization. So we'll start with the first, that is advantages of privatization. In this, the first point, as you can see, there is an increase in number of production units in industrial sector. So as we all know that after 1991 economic reforms, the number of private sector industries increase in economy, so it lead to increase in production. In short, more industries, more production. Now the second point. Production has been increased in capital intensive and consumable commodities due to privatization. For understanding this point, you should know the difference between capital intensive and labor intensive industries. Capital intensive industries are those industries which does their final production of goods by using machinery. I will repeat, capital intensive industries are those industries which are doing their final production by using the machineries. And labor intensive industries are those industries where production of goods is done mainly by labor. So in this point it shows that after 1991 there is increase of industries which run on machinery, that capital intensive industries increase, and which is indeed the need for the betterment of the economy, because as more machinery production will be there, more it will lead to more production, and it will lead to the satisfaction of the demand of the increasing population. Now the third point. Working capacity of public sector has improved due to privatization of public sector enterprise. As we have discussed in the introduction of this chapter, before 1991, all the responsibilities of economy were in the hands of government only. As a result, the working system of economy was irregular and the fire plants failed in achieving its target. So after the reforms, now private industries increase and they do production of necessary goods to fulfill the demand of our people. So now government can work on welfare of economy and do focus on main important works of infrastructure such as development of hospitals, roads, dams, more supplying of electricity, providing housing facilities for poor. So in these 3 points of advantages, we have seen the first point is related to the increase of the production units. Second point is related to increase of the capital intensive industries, and the third point is about that the burden of the government to do the whole responsibility of the country is decreased. Private sector have came forward to take some responsibilities for the betterment of the economy. Now we'll discuss the disadvantages of privatization. The first point, economic power has centralized as a result of privatization, because of which evil of monopoly has increased. The owner of private sector who runs their industry well and get good amount of profit, but the majority of the population is working as an employee in our economy, and mainly laborers are exploited. So as a result, the rich are getting more richer. The power is going in hands of few people, which is not good for economy. Second point, cottage industries have not developed properly due to privatization. Only large industries have been benefited. So, after economic reform, the private sector started running business by capital intensive industries method, as we have discussed earlier. You know that in capital intensive industry, the work is done on machineries. So, more employment is not created. People do get more employment from small scale and cottage industries, but there is no remarkable increase in these industries. Prices have not remained under control due to privatization. This had led to the problem of price rise. So in this point, as we know that private sector industries work with the motto of earning profit. So they increase the price in order to get more profit. So as a result, price rise is seen in economy of different goods. So here we complete the advantages and disadvantages of privatization. Now let's discuss the next topic, and the topic is globalization. So, as you can see in the definition given in the slide, globalization is the process of connecting our country economy with the world economy, as a result of which flow of goods, services, technology and labor is easily available in the world. So, in simple words, if you will say, globalization is about connecting our Indian economy with world economy. I will repeat, globalization in simple word is about connecting our Indian economy with world economy in matters of trade, investment, labor migration and technology. Now we do see these things in our daily life. People go to other countries for earning, studying, etc. The different nations are exchanging technology also. People do import and export. All is this possible because of globalization in world. Now we will discuss some points of globalization. The first point you can see, obstacles of trade between two nations have been removed. This point means after globalization, the trade barriers have decreased. Barriers here means charging of high tax in imports and exports. Even now in world, different unions are there. For example, European Union, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation, that is SARC, that is for South Asian countries, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka are the members of this. So these unions help the member countries to increase the healthy trade relation among them. So like before, the scenario is changed. Now the currently different unions are being set up and they help the each other country members in the matter of trade. So after globalization, the trade boundaries have been increased and the people can easily do trade with one another country. The second point, such a condition has been created so that capital exchange can easily take place between two nations. Okay, capital exchange means investment of money in different countries increase. I will repeat, capital exchange is about investment of money in different countries increase. It happened in two ways. The first you can say is FDI, foreign direct investment, and the second one is foreign institutional investment. I will explain you the difference between foreign direct investment and foreign institutional investment. First, we will see FDI, that is foreign direct investment. When foreign company brings the whole machinery and set up the whole business in our country by their money is known as FDI. I will repeat, when foreign company brings the whole machinery and setup, whole business in our country by their money is known as FDI. And whereas in foreign institutional investment, when foreign individual or some firm invest the money only in our share market by the permission of Security Exchange Board of India, then it is known as foreign institutional investment. So foreign institutional investment, they are just investing the money, they are not setting up the business over here. Whereas in FDI, they set up the whole business. So this is a basic difference between the FDI and FII. But by both of this, the foreign money is coming to our country, and this is because of globalization. Now the third point, obstacles in the way of exchange of technology have been removed. So now countries are sharing the technology with one another. Now the fourth point, free exchange of labor may be there among different nations of the world. So this depends on the relation and agreement done between the countries. The focus in this point is about the labor can do migrate and go to other country for earning purpose. So in this slide, we are going to discuss the effects of globalization. We are going to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. So in advantages, the first point you can see, foreign direct investment is encouraged due to globalization. As we have discussed earlier in the previous slide, that foreign direct investment means when the foreign country starting the whole business in India by bringing their technology. So if they are going to start the business in India and they are bringing their technology, obviously the production will be of good quality, and it will all help to Indians only. And we can say as FDI increase, the employment opportunities in India will also increase. Now the second point, good produce in the developed countries can easily be obtained due to globalization. So in our country, you can see now Korean refrigerator, Japanese TV at our home, German cars on our road, UK made shoes and garments. All this is because of globalization. Now the third point, developing countries like India can withstand competition at international level due to globalization. Okay, India have good amount of natural resources, and by using the technology, we are converting these natural resources into finished products. So our total production is increasing. So as we do more amount of production, the extra stock we are going to export, and our export trend is rising. So as we do more amount of export, our share in global trade has also increased. So here we complete the advantages of globalization. Now we'll see the next topic, that is disadvantages of globalization. So the first point, expected success has not been attained in finding solution to the problems of poverty and unemployment due to globalization. So in this point, our expectation from globalization was to create more employment opportunities, but it does not lead to increase employment up to that level which was expected. And as a result, you can see unemployment in our economy, and unemployment leads to poverty. Now, the second point, developing countries have not acquired proper benefits of increase in export, which they should have acquired. So, in this point, it is said that developing countries do export some basic raw resources which they have, but in return, they are not able to earn more foreign income from it. The third point, large scale industries have acquired more benefit while small scale industries have obtained less benefits. So, here it is said about that the other countries which start business in our country in form of foreign direct investment, they take interest in business of big and heavy industries. So still our cottage and small scale industry is suffering, and no remarkable development is shown in these small scale industries. So here we complete about the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. So we are ending up our today's session. Goodbye everyone. Thank you. Stay safe.